You're listening to the WBT Podcast with Michael Lodge. Listen to all of our podcasts at www.wbtpod.com. Stay informed. Let's get started.
And welcome to the WBT. This is Michael Lodge. I'm glad you've joined me. I tell you, I've been in South Carolina for the last week. Yeah, for one full week now. I drove up from Palm Beach. And the one thing that I had to accomplish here was to make sure that this house was ready for sale. And it was a lot of work, I tell you. In 1 week, I have cleaned out the house. I have polished the floors. I have trimmed the trees. I have mowed the lawn. I have de-weeded. I have done everything. And as you can tell, my voice is just about ready to die. And it's not because of the work, it's because of all of the pollen that's in the air. There is so much high pollen here in South Carolina, and you get this brown dust that comes off the trees, and you're breathing that. And then when you're mowing the lawn, there's more dust blowing up. And by the time you're done, literally my eyes are crusted over, my nose is all plugged up, and I am having a very difficult time breathing. But I'm on my way back to Palm Beach this morning. But I wanted to tell you, this on Monday, I had a nighttime mediation with a family. There was a family dispute where the father and mom were very concerned about their daughter's education, about how they were spending money and everything else. And so they asked for a 30-minute consultation, which I do for all of my clients. But I could tell that the parents had a concern, but I did not feel a desire from them to really solve the problem. I think what they wanted to do was really scare the child, which was not even a child anymore. She's an adult, graduated from school. But the problem is that the parents were paying for everything. They were paying for her schooling, for the doggy, for whatever. They were paying for everything. So we were supposed to schedule an hour session. And 5 minutes before the session begins, they called and said, well, you know what, we have to look at your mediation agreement, and we have to pass it by our attorney and everything. So that kind of told me that they really had no desire to mediate. What they wanted to do was really scare the child. Well, if you have a issue, scaring the child isn't going to do it. If you have a family dispute, trying to scare the other party just is not going to cut it. If you want to resolve the issue and get the communication process back online, you've got to learn how to communicate. And that means that you come before a mediator and we sit down and we talk about the issues on both sides. And I always give at least 15 minutes for each side to present to me their issues. And before they come out, I say, give me your top four. Give me the top four. And you know what? Usually the other party's top four is about the same. Maybe, maybe in different order, but it's about the same. So that begins the communication process. You both are on the same page. It's just that you're talking to each other differently. One's threatened. One is doing the threatening. But there's no real communication. But now all of a sudden we see that all 4 items that you've provided me with are the same. I would say it probably happens about 80% of the time that's what happens. Is that people are really thinking about the same problem, but they don't know how to communicate the problem. In family mediation, the biggest breakdown is the communication process. The biggest breakdown within every single family is the communication process, because we as human beings, we're very emotional people. We, instead of thinking things with common sense, we think things through emotionally. And then the communication completely breaks down. And each side has feelings of animosity towards each other. Excuse me. Excuse me. But that's what we see and so when I see people who don't want to get to the root of the problem or get to a resolution to the problem, and they still want to play that game of trying to show the other person that they're stronger and they're going to go to mediation and the mediator is going to bring them together, they're not thinking clearly. They're not thinking with common sense. In order for you to resolve anything, in business mediation, in divorce mediation, family mediation, it's all about the communication process, and it's all about you and the other side understanding how each other feels or sees things. Not really feels, but how they see things. It's amazing, aren't we? We are human creatures, and this emotional side of us gets out of control sometimes. And then, if you are a very strong person, sometimes this ego gets in the way. So you've got emotions, you've got ego, and then you've got hurt feelings, and then it develops into something else, and something else, and something else. But you're really not sitting down and talking about the problem. We see this with husbands and wives. We see this with partners in businesses, because sometimes partners, when they form a company, they forget about the process of who's going to do what, or who's responsible, and everyone sees their role in the company differently, and then there becomes a dispute. But before I lose my voice, and before I can't breathe anymore because of this pollen that's in this air in South Carolina, before I get into the car this morning, I just wanted to point out to you, if you want to resolve an issue, sit down with a mediator who can guide you through the process of getting you back into that communication lane. The questions are going to be asked, you're going to have to answer them, and you're going to have to be truthful about the whole situation. Mediation works 85% of the time, sometimes even more. But what you need is that third party that can kind of guide you along and get you to that point where you're both finally communicating, talking about the issues, and then negotiating whatever point that you need to negotiate, and then resolving the dispute. If you need help, give me a text at 818-252-5682. Once again, that's 818-252-5682. And let's sit down. Let's do a 30-minute consultation to see how we can resolve any type of dispute that you see happening in your family, in your business. Let me know. Talk with you soon. I'm off to Palm Beach. Everybody, have a great day. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to the WBT with Michael Lodge. Join us again tomorrow as we explore more about business and taxes. Follow us on iHeartRadio and go to our podcast website at www.wbtpod.com and listen to all of our podcasts and read our blogs.
This is brought to you by Lodge & Co., a business and tax advisory firm where your success is our goal. Call us today toll-free at 888-681-1518 or visit us at www.lodge-co.com and learn more about what we can do for you. Lodge & Co., your source for sound business and tax services.
This podcast is produced by Michael Lodge, totally focused on content.